the intuition that helped me change the way I was working online. So when I just started, I was an influencer, a travel blogger, lifestyle influencer. So that means that I was getting paid to make certain content. I had deals with brands, hotels, clothing brands. Um, and this is what I was making my money with online and what allowed me to travel the world. And that's also initially what I got to know about when I first studied in Bali for 3 months and then 4 months in Bangkok. That's how I learned about the online world. So I was doing that, but I learned, that it was very toxic for my mental health, because the influencer industry doesn't thrive on necessarily money as a currency, but on attention. And you will start subconsciously to do everything to get as much attention as possible. And when you don't, you go into very deep lows and it really affects your mental health. And you're constantly chasing the next, top performing post with the most likes, followers, etc. So I felt in my intuition that this wasn't aligning with me, that it didn't feel like this was going to be long term and healthy for me. And that's when I made the switch and when I had to look at myself and say, okay, why did I start in the first place, this influencer life?
So very welcome everybody to our conversation today on this channel. I have a very special guest again today, and she is a CEO of Laptop Lifestyle Master and as well owner of a marketing agency. And not this only, she is as well a co-author of a book. But before we go into it, I just want to welcome Jet van Wijk. Hello, how are you doing?
Thank you so much for that amazing intro, Beate. And I'm super excited to be on here today with you.
Yeah, me too. Me too, because we met each other in person twice already.
Yeah.
I met you in Bali, where you are
Mhm.
located. And this was last year, October 2023. And yes, we had a soul cleansing retreat. And this is
Yes,
something
we
very
did.
special. But before we go into it, Jet, you are a person which is, yeah, creative. And how was your way to create this multiple seven-figure business concerning laptop lifestyle? How did it start? How did you make it?
Yeah, that's I always love that question. I will try to keep it short, but it is a very long process now. This program specifically and the courses we have, I think we have had them for now 4 years, and before that I already had smaller courses too. But how I really got into educating people about the online world is actually from I think 7 years ago. And this was a time where I learned about freelancing. I was freelancing myself in digital marketing, and I wanted to scale to an agency. And at this point, I was looking for an apprentice. An apprentice is someone that, works with you while they learn on the job. And there was this amazing platform called Acadium, where you can find an apprentice and they work with you for 3 months. So I had interviews lined up to find an apprentice for this. And this specific day, I think I booked 20 interviews in a row because so many people were interested. And I was like, wow. Uh, and once I got on the call with them, most of them were actually from third world countries. A lot of them from Nigeria, from Ecuador, like, Kenya, very much African countries as well. And I spoke to all of them, and they were all so passionate and really motivated to learn digital marketing. And this is when I realized that for us, it's a nice way to make our life better to work online. But for some people in these disadvantaged situations, it literally changes their life if they get the opportunity to do so. And this is when I said, you know what? I'm not just going to take one, I'm going to build a community for free to help people in third world countries to work online. And this is really actually where my courses started, where for free, I was holding calls every week and I was creating courses and content for them to teach them how they can work online in digital marketing. And then the people that were really good, I was hiring in my agency. And the stories that we got from this, or I'm saying we, but I was by myself, when I did this. The stories that we got were just really life changing for these people, because for them, there was someone, Omolara, in Nigeria. She said, Jet, because I work for you now, it means that I don't have to go on the streets. And that means that, there's less chances that I will get abducted or raped or, killed, because there was a really strong policy back then from SARS in Nigeria. So again, it started really from that, from like wanting to make an impact and helping people design their own lives. And that is also what, the motto that we're still doing this with is, working online is a way to design your own life. And I think that should be accessible for, everyone around the world. And that's why we're also still supporting people in third world countries to join our program as a scholarship, but that's how it really started, doing that for free for people in disadvantaged situations. And then at some point, after 2 years of doing this, literally 2 years, and we took around 50 people a month, through these programs. Um, at this point, I realized, okay, this is what I love. I love educating, I love helping people. And that's when I really started to make information products, so courses and coaching programs. But yeah, the funny story is that it really started from there, from kind of in a charity, trying to help people from mostly third world countries to work online and yeah, empower them to change their life.
That's wonderful, because this is such a huge contribution to the world, and it's raising their energy, it's raising
Mm,
their capacities, and so you are giving them a possibility to really be connected with themselves and to
yeah.
create as well. So yeah, this is what we are doing, raising the vibration
Mm-hmm.
on the earth to be aligned with the soul. Let's say like
Yeah,
this. Yeah. So, but
totally.
for me, what you are just pointing out, because it was out of a contribution for the third world,
Mm-hmm.
how does it came to you to make this contribution? Was this your intuition? What was it? Can you define it?
Yeah, it's actually it's really interesting how now it's coming full circle, some of these things, of like how it started, that now some of these things are coming back. So it was actually when I was in university. We had to get certain credits for, getting our degree. And I remember that one of the options was to be a volunteer at Mary's Meals. And this is a charity organization that basically their whole idea is that in Africa, in certain countries, they will build schools and they will give a child a meal each day if they come to school. So they pair, feeding people with education to empower people to learn and go to school. And this was the charity that I happened to go door to door in my neighborhood, trying to collect money, for these in educational points that I needed to get. But then doing this, I got really interested in them and I started watching their documentary. And if you ever get the chance to watch it, it's on YouTube. If you search for Mary's Meals and then Generation Hope, um, every time I watch a trailer, I cry. It just does something with me,
Mhm.
And one powerful statement that one of the women in that video mentions was, when you're educated, you have power. And that for me was just made so much impact, where I was like, you know what? That is so true. However, education is changing. Like being educated doesn't necessarily mean that, you need to go to a university or get a degree. It's also being educated in the future of technology now, AI, marketing. And this is something that people in third world countries, they just have less access to learn these things. And this is where I felt like, okay, somehow I want to help there and bridge that gap, because when they are educated, they have power, and they will be able to change their life and make something better for themselves and their families. So for me, it started with that, the inspiration from, hearing that documentary. And then somehow I got uh, similar people to that documentary on my path through a platform. And then I just felt like speaking to all of them, like I have to do something, I have to try and help all of them instead of just helping one.
Yeah.
Yeah, then from that point, a lot of them were actually working in my agency and, making more than they've ever done before, and helping their families. And for me, that was just that piece of like, wow, fulfillment,
Mhm.
of helping them. But it started all with the charity that I was doing door to door knocking for and trying to, collect money when I mean, I think I was maybe 19. I think it was my second or third year in university, and yeah, now we are here almost 7 years later.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention you are now 25 or
Yeah,
26?
25. Yeah, yeah,
25. What
yeah.
amazing. So you have so many people already, more than 1,000, 2,000 or more,
Hmm.
to find their own path and to
Yeah,
live a life maybe in the direction of their dreams. You
yeah,
never
yeah.
know, but you help them to educate themselves and you educated them. This is really amazing. And yes, talking about intuition, you and
Hmm.
me as well, we are together in an upcoming book,
Yeah,
which is from Women Gone Wild from Rhonda Swan. And this is the book Intuition.
yeah,
Uh, you don't have to tell everything what you are writing there, but
yeah.
can you give us a glimpse? What is the content there?
Totally. I mean, it's funny now. I think, oh yeah, there was maybe also an intuition feeling of like making that step. Uh, the intuition moment in the book and in the chapter was at a later point in my career that I described. So it's super fun to bring, also that part back, that I already had a certain intuition back then as well. So this part in the book that I'm talking about is the intuition that helped me change the way I was working online. So when I just started, I was an influencer, a travel blogger, lifestyle influencer. So that means that I was getting paid to make certain content. I had deals with brands, hotels, clothing brands. Um, and this is what I was making my money with online and what allowed me to travel the world. And that's also initially what I got to know about when I first studied in Bali for 3 months and then 4 months in Bangkok. That's how I learned about the online world. So I was doing that, but I learned, that it was very toxic for my mental health, because the influencer industry doesn't thrive on necessarily money as a currency, but on attention. And you will start subconsciously to do everything to get as much attention as possible. And when you don't, you go into very deep lows and it really affects your mental health. And you're constantly chasing the next, top performing post with the most likes, followers, etc. So I felt in my intuition that this wasn't aligning with me, that it didn't feel like this was going to be long term and healthy for me. And that's when I made the switch and when I had to look at myself and say, okay, why did I start in the first place, this influencer life? And that was because I wanted a lifestyle of time and location freedom. You know,
Mhm.
that's what I wanted, the time and the location freedom to travel from anywhere. And this is then when I transitioned into high ticket freelancing, because in this way I didn't need likes or followers, but I could still travel the world and make my own schedule. So yeah, intuition really helped me guide there, like, okay, what feels aligned with me? And intuitively, like, I have to make a change. Even though at that time, I even remember almost crying about having to change my Instagram username, because I was going from my blogger name, which was Mar lower dash jet setter, I was going to Jet van Wijk, and I remember crying about that being like such a big moment of like, okay, I'm gonna make this change, even though I don't know what's gonna happen, but I just feel like it's something that I have to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you are just describing what the new earth or the new space or time we are in now, because you had the courage to change your path
Mm-hmm.
because you felt this is not my soul alignment, let's say it
Yeah.
like this. And then you have chosen something not to know what's going on then. And
Mm-hmm.
this is
Yeah.
exactly the quality of the new earth vibration.
Yeah.
Doing things not to know the outcome because there is no reference point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so congratulations, you are ahead. You're ahead the game.
Love that.
It's wonderful.
Mm.
So, what in general means intuition for you, Jet? Can you explain it? What it means for you?
Yeah, I think I think
Definition.
I think intuition for me very much is a gut feeling, I think that's really it. Like it's a feeling of like your body, your soul, your whole being kind of giving you a hint or like a suggestion,
Mhm.
and then obviously it's up to you to feel into that and to see, why do I feel this way? Like why are things unfolding that way? And then I think that is intuition that just gives you a little nudge or a hint of like, this doesn't feel right, or this feels great. And it could be that it's our gut, because our gut is our second brain. Right? So it could be that, it's really a gut feeling. It's really something you can feel in your whole body, even on biological level, that you have to go for something or not, or you have to change directions or not, or intuitively, even people, right? Like, does my intuition say that this is a good person to be around? Or does my intuition, my body, my mind, does everything tell me, hey, this doesn't feel right. Like you shouldn't be here, or you shouldn't hang out with these people. So I think it's a little voice in your soul, your body, your mind that helps you in the right directions at times. And it's up to you to lean into that and to ask yourself, like, what is this telling me? Yeah.
Oh yeah, because so many entrepreneurs do have this
Yeah.
and are not really aware that this is really an opening to, I let me say it like this,
Mm-hmm.
opening to your higher soul or an opening to the universe or
Yeah.
whatever. They
Yeah.
would say, oh, I just know that I have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so the inner knowing. I know that I know, and I haven't had a proof already, but
Yeah.
I know, okay? It's like this, yeah. And so you are very sensitive. So
Mm.
I feel, and I had some talks with you in person as well now in Antarctica, our
Yeah.
amazing epic trip together.
Amazing.
Um, how do you experience in general as well energy? How do you experience something which is maybe not visible but there?
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So it's I guess it's nice to give some context to, like, as in like maybe my beliefs, or like, how I was raised. So originally I think I was raised very openly. My grandpa was a pastor in church. My mom always had to go to church, all the time. And that's why she said to us, kids, it's up to you. Like, if you want to have a religion, if you want to go to church. So we were not really raised super strict Christian or anything. I did go to a Christian school. And then later on in my studies as well, in Netherlands, it's great because you learn about all the religions and even spirituality in high school. So I was just raised always very open, and I was always open to everything. So up until now, I believe always that there's something bigger than us, a creator or creators. But for me, it doesn't matter whether that's one God or whether that's multiple gods or what their name is or if it's the universe. But I do believe that there's something bigger than us, and that's I talk to it or that, I think about it. But for me, it doesn't matter what name it is, and I respect therefore like all religions and all things, because I don't think we necessarily know everything about the universe and all its possibilities. So let's say I'm very open to understand different spiritual paths and things. I never say, oh, that's not true or that can't be possible, because I think we as humans, we are so small, and it's almost arrogant to say that we are the only ones in this universe when it's so big, right? So yeah, that's, I guess, a little bit context on like, my belief system and like how I was raised. um However, my parents, I also think they were not really religious in any way or very spiritual, just very normal Dutch family, So when I was growing up as a kid, I developed a really deep, how do you say it? Um, I just lost the word. Like I was scared of the dark, so I developed like an anxiety or like something against being in the dark. So I always had to sleep on with the lights. And this came from the fact that sometimes I was seeing things, like shadows or things like that. And we all know it as a kid, that you have you sometimes see things or you get scared. And then my parents always said, "No, it's just because you watch too many scary movies." So then I was not allowed anymore to watch like detectives or to watch any crime scene stuff or like horror. And I also didn't really like horror and stuff. But yeah, I was just not watching it anymore. But I always was still scared because I kept seeing things or feeling things. And I remember even as a young kid, like my parents slept upstairs. That literally at night I would just go to my mom and beg them and cry and like, please, can you stay in my room because I'm seeing things. Uh, and of course, they didn't really know. They were not really open to that and not really knowing what I was talking about. So it was always like, Jet, but you only see it in the dark, right? I was like, yeah, mostly. Okay, then you're just tired. It's just like small little blips that you see.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay. Then when I got older as a teenager, I started having really bad sleep paralysis. As to where I would wake up and could really not move anymore, but feel things and see things. And that got also again so bad that I would sometimes call, someone to stay on the phone at night or always sleep on with the light and just kind of sleep paranoia where you're always waking up and looking around. So something was happening, but I didn't really know what it was at this time, even still. Um, and it wasn't until I moved to Bali where, for me, really spirituality came into the picture, where everything just heightened even more. And I had various experiences. Some of them I've spoke to you about, right? Various like spiritual experiences. Um, and since being here, I've just really been more, well, not necessarily willingly, but it just happens, where I'm more open to, yeah, I see sometimes entities, I see many animals. I'm not really mastered yet how to communicate with them or what to do with it exactly. Sometimes I also see bad energies and entities that I feel. Um, but in general, yeah, it's been a lot, being 4 years in Bali, one of the most spiritual places on the planet. I think everyone that lives here will say the same. We've all had some insane, like, spiritual awakenings and stories and things happen to us. And yeah, I mean, right now this house is great. Haven't noticed anything yet. But yeah, it's always a surprise when I do see things, just because I'm not necessarily
Mhm.
really mastering it yet or tapping into that, but maybe that time will come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe it's not a matter to master something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just to be aware and maybe to
Mm-hmm.
to get a different kind of connection to it.
Yeah.
As you mentioned just before, you don't know yet how to communicate with them,
Mm-hmm.
but there are possibilities to communicate, just to ask
Yeah.
questions, and maybe sometime the answer will come,
Yeah.
not right away, but maybe afterwards.
Yeah.
And yes, Bali is a very special place. So
Yeah.
I've been to Bali before. I met you a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting on the balcony, and just in the morning, a kind of meditation, not really meditation,
Mm-hmm.
a kind of total relaxation. And then my mother appeared, so,
Oh
and
wow.
she died 1 year ago when I was there, or more. I can't remember. But I saw her, I really saw her, like she had an image at her young age.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a very pretty young woman. And she said to me, you know what? Here on this side, everything is totally different than I thought. We are
Mm.
singing and dancing and having joy. And she
Oh,
disappeared, you know?
that's amazing
It,
though.
it was, it was so amazing. And
Yeah.
I think this was Bali, because I as well tuned into the culture, and they are
Yeah.
celebrating their people who have gone already,
Yeah.
all to
Yeah.
this temple. So the energies are around. So it's only a matter
Totally.
how you are willing, I think, how you are willing
Mm.
just to communicate with them, like we are communicating now.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, totally. I think Bali, now I think about like obviously also why I'm here. It
Mhm.
was also intuition,
Yeah.
like really strong because, so for me, I got out of high school, then I wanted to become police officer originally.
Wow.
But in the Netherlands, if you can't apply for this, if they cannot forecast that you're going to have a job after 4 or 5 years, then they don't allow anyone to study because otherwise you have too many people that studied it and then they can't have a job. So there was like a freeze. And that's when I was like, okay, am I going to wait for this freeze to be over? And we didn't know how long this would take. And then for some reason, I heard someone speak about, oh, if you do hospitality management, you can go to Bali. And I don't know why. I've never worked in hospitality before. I worked in a garden center for 8 years. Never worked in a restaurant or a hotel before. And I applied and I got in. And then I started this study. And in my third year, it was time. The first 3 years, my parents were still like, oh, we'll see about that. But I already had it. Yeah, I already knew I was going to go to Bali. So in my third year, went to Bali, studied here for 3 months and then 3 months Bangkok. And that's when I learned about working online, and when I started that journey. Then, of course, I went to London and I did my internship there for a year. I got offered a really good position there after my internship to stay, and they really wanted me to stay. And I don't know, everyone told me, my grandparents, my parents, Jet, just stay for a few years, just try it out. My manager said, Jet, if you take this job, you're going to be our boss in a few years. So, and I said, no, I'm going to Bali. I don't know why, but I just feel like I have to go and that I will figure it out. And I told my parents, that I had already an online job, but I had nothing. And I remember sitting in the plane to Bali, of course, just in economy, small plane. And I saw the screen of like, the journey that you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there thinking, what am I doing? Like, I have no plan. I have nobody there. I know nobody. I'm going alone. I don't have any money. I think I had like $600 left in my name at this point. And, I moved there. And obviously, after that, everything was a domino effect. But it was something in me that told me to come here and that told me to stay here. And that's what I hear a lot as well. Bali either hates you or loves you. And if it hates you, you will get accidents, you will get in trouble, problems will happen. And if it loves you, then it tries to keep you. And I think that was really special for me that for some reason I ended up here and I was meant to be here and meant to stay. And then of course, I met some really interesting people in the first year, which is also why I have a tattoo here.
Mhm.
because this tattoo means power of the goddess, the symbol.
Ah,
And it's because different people that are very spiritual here in Bali, without that they don't know each other, right? They just know me. Um, and two of them, actually, both of them, when I walked in, I started talking to them, that they started bawling their eyes out, like crying. And they got goosebumps because they said that I was a previous goddess in my past life in Bali. And that they can see the animals and the people, you know, around me waiting for me to step into some kind of power.
yeah.
Uh, and it was three different people that said something so similar that I was like, wow, I don't know. I don't know why, but that's why Bali has been literally calling me to come
Mhm.
here, you know? So, yeah.
Wonderful. So
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
only the time to really step into your power.
Mhm.
I think you have a foot almost in it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
as you know, I can see so much more within you as well, as you
Mhm.
are now just showing to us. So
Yeah.
it's just the beginning, and you are
Yeah.
25, so
Yeah.
you're a goddess right away. You're a goddess. Oh, so well, that's wonderful. And
Yeah.
we are talking now. So, um, did you consciously combine the spirituality with business, or was it just a normal path, or don't you think about, or how is
Mm, I think I definitely would like to do it more. It's also one of my goals this year, actually, on my vision board, just to really go into spirituality even more. Um, I am combining it in a way that I do listen a lot to my intuition when making business decisions, or like how I feel. I journal a lot, I script, I try to quantum leap,
it?
into like, yeah, into the place where I would like to be. I also always I choose one stone of the day when I work. And I put this stone, on my desk, and all of them mean something different. And yeah, these are some of the, I guess, smaller things, manifestation, that I try to do already. But I'm definitely looking to tune into that even more, and to maybe even align. um and it sounds maybe complicated, but I'm not yet sure how I'm going to do it. But to align my business and the momentum with both moon cycles and also with my menstrual cycle as a woman. So I'm also really trying to, yeah, study more about this and how it can benefit my business and my decision making, because we always have, I get impacted a lot by the moon. So when it's full moon, I can't sleep. I really feel the energy, and it keeps me up. And I think that could be really powerful if you, for example, align your business launches with the right moon phases. So yeah, still learning some of these things, and I'm doing some tarot, trying to get into that too. To not necessarily make decisions, but to just help me guide, or to open my perspective, or my my decision making to other alternatives too. Yeah.
Great. That's wonderful. I figured out that many entrepreneurs who have to make decisions,
Mm-hmm.
um, not using this power of the universe on one hand, and on the other side, just special female entrepreneurs use a lot of main strategy, which are
Yeah.
not aligning with them. So
Yeah.
I'm just in having a new way to work as well with women, not to be so strong with the main strategy,
Yeah.
find their
Yeah.
own thing. And this is where the power comes from. So we always have to look for our internal power, as I
Yeah.
call it as well, intrinsic competence. So
Yeah.
know your intrinsic core, what, not only the value, your core, just to know who you are. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then combining everything together. This
Yeah.
is this is the new way, I would say. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's also interesting topic, like the feminine and masculine energies of like doing business. I think it's kind of always conflicting in a way because for some things in business we do need that doing energy, right? Like I have to do this. But then in feminine energy we want to be sometimes too, and I think that's like the navigation of maybe seeing when we're in this doing state of like our cycle, so we have more testosterone, that then we do bigger things like launches or get stuff done. Or and I have sometimes a week in my month where I'm like bam, I'm on it. And then you have the week of, for example, your menstrual cycle where you should be more and maybe take time to go to nature and reflect and journal and plan and not be so much in that hardcore masculine sales, energy, and be more in creative energy or, planning or reflecting energy as well. So yeah, that's also still something I'm definitely trying to find, like how to balance that.
Mhm.
Because you can just see it if when I was in my masculine I think for 2 years when I was building this business, I woke up every day at 5 a.m. and I had a call with someone at 5 a.m. to keep me accountable. 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. So 2 times a day calling with this person. And it was crazy. I got a lot of results, but I could see how my hair was thinning and like my skin was bad and how it was impacting my health because I was not meant to operate like that every day. And
Ex-
it's so toxic that, especially the male uh, entrepreneur culture, that hustle culture of you, if you want to be a millionaire, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. It's like, you don't, if
That's
you
it.
don't want to, if it's not good for your body, like you don't have to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
interesting.
it's a very interesting topic, and I see I appreciate how wonderful you are already dealing with this uh,
Mm,
your young age, and I have accompanied more than 30 years now men
mm,
in their business, so I know exactly their strategy.
yeah.
And I know when it's fitting and when it's not, and
Hmm.
how to find it out is a very good thing for
Yeah.
women especially, so that you
Yeah.
can have your access to the universe and really be in your soul alignment.
Yeah.
So what are your plans for the next time?
Oh, too many.
Okay,
I
let's
mean,
skip this
not too
question.
many, but like, yeah, I think now I was in a little bit of, I think 1 year now where I was taking it more easy, which I've really enjoyed. Like, really having my very strict routine. Like, I wouldn't do any calls in the evening, just do my very extensive evening routine. But now, lately, and especially since Antarctica, I've been more in that doing phase where I'm, launching new things and, yeah, starting new businesses as well. So, right now, we're really trying to scale the agency further. That's one avenue and go more into B2B there. And then for my courses, we have really big plans to really become the number one freelancing platform and online university for people to go to that want to design their own life and work online. So working on a lot of projects for that. And then of course, I am super honored that I'm going to speak in May at AdCon in the UK, which is going to be a really big opportunity for me. And I'm really excited for that. And then we have in June the book launch in the US. So gonna do lots of interviews and TV things and speaking there as well. And then I'm looking forward for the rest of the half year to maybe just be in Bali.
Yeah,
Because
that's,
every time I leave, I miss it. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm also just excited to be here in my new house and to also look into the real estate that I'm doing here and to develop that further too. So yeah, lots of exciting things coming.
wonderful. So
Yeah.
before we finish and close our wonderful conversation, yet I have two questions.
Okay.
The one question is, what do you wish for the world?
Mm-hmm.
And the second question is, what do you wish for yourself personally?
Mm. I
Hmm.
love that. I love that. I wish for the world that everyone would be able to step into their true passion and purpose, and to see whatever that looks like for them, but that they see that we as humans, we are so special. And this is really my philosophy, that we are human, and the chances of us being that are so rare. We could have been a rock or a stone or a tree, and we got to be on this planet as a human. And we can listen to each other, we can hear each other, we can walk, we can fly, we can go to places. So I think that everyone should understand how special life is, and that you should do everything you've ever wanted, and that you should chase your dreams, and that you should be happy what you do every day. And with that comes that there's too many people still stuck in their in jobs that they hate, or in situations that obviously make them very unhappy. And I think if we all realize that this world and this planet is so beautiful, we only have one of them, one planet that we're gonna have our feet on forever. That we should really make every day count and do everything in our abilities to do the things we love, and to chase our passions and our dreams, and to get really purpose in life. So yeah.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for yourself?
For myself, well, yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question. And it probably shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a hard question. But I think I'm really at the place now in my life where there's many different decisions that I'm about to make that are going to have a really big impact. So for now, what I wish for myself is that I am able to tap into, really my intuition, to there's not necessarily make a right or wrong one, but just to make the one that right now feels best for me, of course. And yeah, if I can say one thing that I realized over the past years now, uh, being someone that has a very successful business, so financial freedom, location, time freedom, that I realized that once you get to the milestones, like, I don't know, right, 100K, 1 million, blah blah, um it all money starts to matter less, and family starts to matter more, and the people around you, and being able to communicate and to take care of my loved ones. And I wish that, yeah, in a way, I get to slow down more as well soon, so that I'm able to spend more time with them. And personally, I'm also really excited to build a family, as you know, right? Like, I'm really excited to also, yeah, have a partner and, do life together. Because again, those are things that money just cannot buy: family, a husband, things like this. And somehow, weirdly, I do feel ready as well to yeah, to explore that more, family, and kind of settle. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time and for our wonderful conversation. And from my heart, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you all the best and be the goddess you already are.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited to see you in June for the book launch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Too. We will have a lasting time.
Amazing time. Yeah.
Okay. See you.
See you.
Thank you for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and tell others about this channel, and please subscribe.